Reflections of Torment, the lamenting mirror. The narrow cobblestone streets of the old town always felt like stepping into another era. Tucked between modern cafes and boutiques was Whispering Past, an antique shop Joel had frequented since his childhood. The store was a labyrinth of memories. Every corner was filled with artifacts of bygone days, from dusty old books to intricate jewelry. The store's owner, Mr. Hathaway, was an elderly man with a beard that reached his chest and eyes that sparkled with tales of the past. Joel often spent hours chatting with him, soaking in stories of each artifact. On that particular day, as Joel navigated the dimly lit aisles, a particular object caught his eye. An ornate mirror, standing about 6 feet tall. Its frame was a deep mahogany, carved with intricate patterns of intertwined vines and roses. But what set it apart was the glass itself. Unlike other mirrors, which showed clear, sharp reflections, this one had a smoky, ethereal quality. The depths seemed endless, like gazing into a nighttime sky without stars. As Joel stared into it, the world around him seemed to fade away. The ambient noise of the street, the distant chatter of other customers, even his own breathing seemed to disappear. The mirror seemed to beckon him into its depths, promising secrets and tales from times long forgotten. Breaking free from its hypnotic pull, Joel turned to Mr. Hathaway, his curiosity piqued. "This mirror," he began. "Where did it come from?" The old shopkeeper glanced at the mirror, a hint of nostalgia in his eyes. "Ah, that one has a history, Joel, but it's a tale for another day." But seeing Joel's genuine interest, he added, "It's been in the shop for ages, and many have been drawn to it, just like you." Joel couldn't resist. He decided to purchase the mirror, eager to delve into its mysteries. Once the mirror was installed in his room, Joel found himself inexplicably drawn to it, often spending hours gazing into its smoky depths. It wasn't just the allure of the intricate carvings or the antiquity of the piece. It was the image that the mirror reflected. When Joel looked into regular mirrors, he saw his everyday self, slightly disheveled hair, the stress lines from a hard day's work, the mundanity of daily life. But the mirror from Whispering Past reflected something different, something better. It showed a version of Joel that was radiant, happier, and seemingly without any of the burdens he felt daily. The reflection portrayed him standing taller, smiling more frequently, and exuding a confidence that Joel often wished he felt. The mirror quickly became an integral part of his daily routine. Mornings began with Joel drawing strength from that idealized reflection. Evenings were spent in introspection, as he pondered over the person he saw and the person he aspired to be. The reflection wasn't just a mere image. It became a source of inspiration, a daily reminder of potential yet to be tapped. The mirror's grip on Joel grew stronger. He felt a compulsion to spend time before it, to listen, to understand. Each day, the line between need and want blurred further. His daily routines revolved around the mirror sessions. Friends' invitations were declined. Work was sometimes missed. all in favor of those moments of reflection and the symphony of voices that awaited him. Sarah and Petra noticed the change. They'd catch him staring at the mirror at odd hours, whispering back to the unseen entities, his eyes glazed and distant. "It's just a phase," Joel would reassure them. But deep down, he felt ensnared, trapped between the allure of the voices and the chilling undertones that sometimes surfaced. While the stories whispered by the mirror were captivating, they also became a chain. Joel felt both comforted and unnerved. The voices became his anchor, and yet they weighed him down, pulling him deeper into an abyss of uncertainty. Fueled by the dissonance in the voices and his growing obsession, Joel decided to delve into the origins of the mirror. His first stop was Whispering Past. Mr. Hathaway, always a trove of information, handed Joel an old leather-bound journal when he inquired about the mirror. "This," Mr. Hathaway began, his voice trembling slightly, "was the diary of the craftsman who made your mirror." As Joel leafed through the worn pages, he discovered that the mirror was not just an exquisite piece of art, but held a dark history. Crafted within the stone walls of an ancient monastery, nestled atop a secluded mountain, the mirror was the creation of Master Elendor, a revered craftsman of his time. He was commissioned by the monks, who sought a vessel to contain souls deemed unworthy and tainted by malevolence. Using a combination of alchemical processes and secret rituals passed down through generations, Elendor infused the mirror with the power to trap souls. The monks, acting as self-proclaimed judges of character, would hold ceremonies where they'd condemn the evil souls, pulling them from their earthly bodies and imprisoning them within the mirror's smoky depths. However, the mirror was no ordinary prison. It was a realm of torment. Those trapped within did not experience the release of heaven or the punishments of hell. Instead, they found themselves in a never-ending cycle of reliving their perceived sins, constantly reminded of their deeds, in a purgatory of reflection and regret. As the years passed and the list of trapped souls grew, the monastery became a place of fear. Rumors spread across villages about the mirror's power, turning the once revered monastery into a symbol of dread. One passage in the diary stood out to Joel. "I realize now the gravity of what I've created. This mirror, though meant for justice, has become a tool of cruelty. The cries of the trapped souls haunt my dreams. May one day someone find a way to free them." A weight settled on Joel's heart. The voices he heard weren't just echoes of the past, but pleas. Joel nodded slowly. "I have to try, Sarah. I have to find another way." As the days blurred into weeks, the voices from the mirror grew more assertive and insidious. Their once harmonious whispers transformed into seductive chants, dripping with malice and malevolence. They painted vivid tales of the world outside, of power and dominance, urging Joel to embrace the darkness. Despite Sarah's presence and efforts to shield him, Joel's mental defenses began to crumble. The weight of the mirror's history, combined with the incessant murmurings of the souls within, left him exhausted and frayed. The vibrant, inquisitive man that once roamed the aisles of Whispering Past was now just a shadow, a silhouette of despair and hopelessness. Sarah watched, heartbroken, as her brother's spirit waned. His once sparkling eyes were now clouded with confusion and torment. Their research, which once promised an alternative, now seemed like a futile endeavor. But Sarah was resolute. She knew she had to act before the mirror consumed Joel entirely. Late one evening, as the dim light cast eerie shadows across the room, Joel, under the mirror's influence, turned to Sarah. "There's only one way," he whispered, voice trembling. "One soul to free them all." Sarah, realizing the depth of Joel's despair, took a deep breath. "Joel, you can't. There has to be another solution. We'll find it, together." But as the days passed, Joel became increasingly convinced that Sarah's sacrifice was the only way out. She represented purity, innocence, and love, everything the mirror seemed to crave. In his twisted state of mind, he believed that her soul might satiate the mirror's hunger, bringing an end to its curse. One fateful night, as a storm raged outside, Joel, with a resolve born out of desperation, approached Sarah, the mirror's whispers guiding his actions. But deep down, a fragment of his true self clung on, pleading for another way, desperate to save both his sister and himself from the mirror's malevolent grasp. The act was done. A room that once echoed with tales of countless souls now resounded with the singular, heart-wrenching lament of Sarah. Joel, having committed the unimaginable, was consumed by an overwhelming amalgamation of guilt, sorrow, and despair. Every corner of his being was pierced by the haunting melody of his sister's pain. The once cherished mirror, which held promises of an ideal self, was now a cursed reminder of his unforgivable act. Sarah's voice, so familiar yet so changed, narrated her anguish and confusion. The very same mirror that had once whispered tales of love and valor now screamed with the torment of an innocent soul, unfairly trapped. Joel became a mere specter, a shadow of his former self. He spent his days and nights seated in front of the mirror, his gaze locked onto the smoky depths, searching for a glimpse of his sister. The outside world ceased to exist for him. Friends, family, the passage of time, none mattered. The room became his universe, and Sarah's lament, his haunting lullaby. His mind, once sharp and curious, was now a tangled mess of insanity and grief. The weight of his actions, combined with the relentless whispers from the mirror, drove him to the brink of madness. In his lucid moments, the weight of his guilt was suffocating. The thought of freeing Sarah crossed his mind countless times, but the reality was clear. Joel became a mere specter, a shadow of his former self. He spent his days and nights seated in front of the mirror, his gaze locked onto the smoky depths, searching for a glimpse of his sister. The outside world ceased to exist for him. Friends, family, the passage of time, none mattered. The room became his universe, and Sarah's lament, his haunting lullaby. His mind, once sharp and curious, was now a tangled mess of insanity and grief. The weight of his actions, combined with the relentless whispers from the mirror, drove him to the brink of madness. In his lucid moments, The weight of his guilt was suffocating. The thought of freeing Sarah crossed his mind countless times, but the reality was clear. Joel couldn't bear to trap himself within the mirror, unable to face the eternal torment he'd subjected his sister to. So, he existed, trapped in a self-imposed purgatory, forever haunted by the voice of the one he loved most. The man who once sought antiques to bridge the past and the present was now stuck in an endless loop, a prisoner of his own actions, condemned to hear the sorrowful serenades of his sister